Let's take you live to Wellington now, where New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon is announcing his first major cabinet reshuffle since taking government more than a year ago.
Resource management, overseas investment, trade, science, innovation and infrastructure. We now have a stable platform of lower inflation and dropping interest rates. The green shoots of economic recovery have begun. But our task now is to work with New Zealand's industry leaders, small business owners, entrepreneurs, innovators, to give them the confidence and backing they need to unleash New Zealand's massive potential. We want them making investments in new ideas, hiring more people and generating more exports. And we are a government with the courage needed to make the changes that requires. I have so much optimism for New Zealand. This is an exceptional country with massive advantages and big prospects. I'm excited about what we can achieve for New Zealanders with this pro-growth government. Thank you, and back to you, Prime Minister.
Yeah, well, Nicola, I'm excited too, because having a Minister for Economic Growth is so important. And I have to say, every time I come back from overseas, I feel pretty fired up about the opportunities for New Zealand as well. We can have a great future, and there are no excuses for why we can't do exceptionally well for ourselves in the decades ahead. But also in 2025, health will also be a priority area for our government. And last year, Shane Reti worked hard to reset the culture and also the performance of Health New Zealand. We established targets and we refreshed the leadership of Health New Zealand, and I'm confident the organisation is heading in a much better direction than it was when we entered office. But I've also heard New Zealanders' concerns that they expect to see even more progress. Kiwis ensuring that they can access quality care they need when they need it. And so to deliver on that expectation, I've decided to appoint Simeon Brown as Minister of Health. Simeon is an outstanding and diligent minister who's done an excellent job delivering on the government's priorities. Off the back of that performance, I've decided his skills are best placed to take on the leadership of our health system going forward. Shane Reti will take on a new and an important role, assuming responsibility for our science sectors and our universities, both of which are expected to play a very critical role in our economic growth plan. A series of other ministers are also expected to play even greater roles in our plans to unleash economic growth in 2025. Chris Bishop becomes Minister of Transport, taking responsibility for an additional part of the government's ambitious infrastructure agenda. Louise Upston picks up tourism and hospitality, a critical industry for promoting growth and employment, particularly in regional New Zealand. Simon Watts takes on the energy and local government portfolios, both areas expected to play a major role in our growth plan going forward. And Judith Collins will also become Minister for the Public Service, while Mark Mitchell picks up sports and recreation and ethnic communities portfolios. Outside Cabinet, Chris Pink picks up small business and manufacturing, while Andrew Bailey becomes Minister for ACC. I've also decided to appoint James Meagher as a Minister outside Cabinet, and he will take on responsibility for the hunting and fishing and youth portfolios and become an Associate Minister of Transport. He'll also take on the newly created role of Minister for the South Island, becoming a critical voice for Kiwis living in Canterbury and Otago and Southland and Tasman and the West Coast and everywhere in between. I want him to get stuck in. I want him to make sure that the voice of the mainland is heard loud and clear throughout Wellington. And finally, I just would like to acknowledge Melissa Lee's contribution in government over the last year. She has worked incredibly hard, engaging the range of ethnic communities across New Zealand, and I want to thank her for that service. I am confident that 2025 is going to be an outstanding year for New Zealand. With the cost of living increasingly under control, it's now time to put our foot on the gas and unleash that growth that we want to see into our economy. And I'm excited with our refreshed team to do exactly that. And with that, very happy to take any questions you may have.
Prime Minister, what spurred this reshuffle?
It's really about making sure we put growth as our number one job for this government as we go forward. And for me, it's everything that is the most important thing that we have to deliver. Why do we have to do that? Because that's the thing that actually enables Kiwis to be able to move ahead, to be able to get ahead, to do well for themselves, to have a better quality of living, to get better public services. So I want everything this year focused on unleashing growth.
At the end of last year, you said there would be no reshuffle. What's changed?
What I've always said is I don't feel any compunction to do any formal reshuffles at any set times. I believe as a leader and as a former CEO that you make adjustments to your team to make sure you've got the right person on the right assignment at the right time.
And so
Priorities and of issues will change, and it's important that you've got your people set up in the right way.
what's led you to lose
Sorry?
what's led you to lose confidence in Shane Reti?
Well, I haven't. Shane Reddy's
You've
going to do an
demoted him.
outstanding job.
But you've demoted him from his portfolio and you've dropped him in rankings.
Yeah, well, just Shane Reddy's done. Shane Reddy's. I haven't lost confidence. Shane Reddy's going to do a great job on universities and the science sector, and that's a very important job for us. But what we need is the skills that Simeon Brown brings, which is delivery and execution. And I want him to now to bring that into our healthcare system. Why do I want that? Because at the end of the day, for Kiwis, what they need our healthcare system to do is to be able to get that visit with a GP for their young kid. They need to make sure their parents can get the knee replacement. They need to get access to those cancer drugs. That's what matters to them. And Simeon's track record in transport and delivering on those priorities is going to be really what we need now.
Prime Minister, in December, you told me that you had confidence in Shane Reti as Health Minister. Why have you lost confidence in him as Health Minister?
Well, I do have confidence in all of my ministers, but as many of you will know, I foreshadowed that I always take time over summer to reflect. I came back to work on the 5th of January, determined to actually say, yep, I want to make these adjustments and these changes, because as I spoke to Kiwis over summer, the message was really clear. They want this government focused on economic growth. They want to know that there's a future for their kids and their grandkids in this country. We have an exciting plan that we'll unleash over the next few days and weeks, and you'll hear more about it. But I think that is part of what we want to do. We want to realise the great future and potential in this country, and I'm going to retool my team, and I'll continue to do that in the way that I have to make sure that I've got the clarity, that I can hold ministers to account, they get supported, and then they're empowered to get on and deliver for us.
Was the message that you heard from Kiwis that they didn't have confidence in your government when it came to health?
No, what they want us to do is to make sure that we can actually deliver so that they can get access to those GP visits quicker than 2 weeks. They can get faster through an emergency department. They can get quicker access to cancer drugs and get the treatments and the service that they want.
And was Shane Reti not the person to deliver?
Shane Reddy's made a good contribution, set some good foundations in place. Just take a step back over the last 12 months. We put a record $17 billion into healthcare.
Yes, but was he not the person to move that?
Simeon Brown is the person that we need to take the agenda forward in healthcare so that we can deliver for New Zealanders.
So just to clarify, over summer.
What if you said that one of your biggest regrets of last year was how the cancer drug promise was handled? That was on Shane, wasn't it?
Well, the reality is Shane delivered extra funding into health. He delivered new governance structure with the appointment of a health commissioner. He set very clear targets, which are exactly what we need to deliver for New Zealanders, and he actually secured the cancer drugs. My comment was, if you asked me to replay last year, if I had any regrets, could I have done anything better? I could have communicated what we were doing around cancer drugs at the budget time. But the bottom line is, I'm pretty proud. The fact that we have delivered cancer drugs to more New Zealanders going through a really tough time that they didn't have access to before this government.
Were you hearing over summer?
Sorry?
Were you hearing
Sorry,
over
I'll go to
summer?
Joe, sorry.
Is it appropriate or fair on other ministers to have a cabinet minister with one portfolio while everyone else is carrying the load?
In what do you
Matt Ducey has one portfolio.
Well, again, a part of this reshuffle is to make sure that I have ruthless focus on healthcare delivery. And that's why I've got Simeon Brown very stripped down and focused with his major focus and priority area on health. He's got some other things around state-owned enterprises and the Minister for Auckland issues. And Matt Ducey, I want him focused on associate health, and I also want him focused on mental health.
You've taken
And so
three
I'm being very clear,
ministerial
giving them time to make sure that they have everything they need to deliver outcomes for the New Zealand
You've
people.
taken three ministerial portfolios.
That's New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon talking about the first cabinet reshuffle he's undertaken since being elected towards the end of 2023. The key priority for him, the reason the Kiwi voters picked him in the first place, was his promise to change the economic situation in New Zealand, also a cost of living crisis over there. Nicola Willis having her role, the finance minister, now not just focusing on that role, but also having an expanded role as Minister for Economic Growth. There's also a change to the health minister there as well.